Hello everyone. In this lesson, we will be talking about ES6 classes in JavaScript. Let's immediately dive into a simple example to understand why we need classes and what they do. To start, I will create a regular object, which I will call, for example, animal. This will be a regular object with several fields, for example, a field name animal. Let's say there will be a field age, for example, 5. And, for example, there will be a parameter hasTail, which indicates whether there is a tail with a value of true. If I now refer to the animal object in the console, we will basically get the expected result. That is, it is a regular object that has the fields we listed, and its prototype points to the global class object. However, in reality, JavaScript has a special class syntax that makes it more convenient to create such objects. And let me show you how this works using the same example. To start, I will create a class using the keyword class, the animal class, and by convention, we name classes with a capital letter. Then, within curly braces, we describe this class. To initialize the initial values of an object of this class, we need to implement a special method called the constructor. And in the constructor, we will accept an object options, which we will enumerate in this class. In order for the new instance of the animal class to have these fields, for example, we need to initialize them through the keyword this, which is the context that will refer to the current object. And let's also specify that this .name will equal options.name. Now I will copy this. We will have a field age and a field hasTail. Now, how do we create the same animal object, but using a class? We are essentially doing the same thing. That is, we are creating an object animal and then using the new keyword to specify from which class we will create it. In our case, this is the animal class, and now, in the parentheses, I will pass the parameters that I accept in the constructor. In our case, it is an object that has a field name, for example, animal. Next, there will be a field age, let's say with a value of 5, and the parameter hasTail, let's say with a value of true. Now if I refresh the page and access the animal object in the console, we will essentially get the same result. However, the Smart Chrome also shows us that this object is not just an object, but it is also an inheritor of the animal class. That is, the class name is written here. And interestingly, if we look at the prototype, we will first see the prototype of the animal class, not the prototype of the object. Only after that will we see the prototype of the object itself. Accordingly, we can implement some methods in the animal class, which will be added to the prototype of our future object. That is, suppose I implement a method voice here, which will output some animal sound to the console, for example, I am animal. If we refresh the page and refer to the animal object, as you can see, we can call the voice method on it. However, if we look directly at the object itself, the voice method is not present at the top level, but it is available in the prototype. Here is voice, and the next prototype already points to the familiar global class object, where its various methods are present. What else can we do with classes? Let's say we can implement some static methods or variables here using the keyword static. And let's say I create a variable type, which will contain the string animal. How do I use this now? Suppose if I try to refer to our animal object and try to type, as you can see, Chrome no longer suggests that there is such a variable. And if I press enter, I will actually see undefined. How do we refer to this type specifically? If a variable or method is static, then it is only available in the class itself, meaning, roughly speaking, the variable written with a capital letter animal, and it has polytype. And here, as you can see, we get the expected string. Now let's discuss the following point, why classes can be convenient at all. For this, I will comment out the creation of the object, because, essentially, we can arrange full inheritance. For example, I will create a new class called cat. That is, it will be a specific case of an animal. And in order to inherit from the animal class, I will use the keyword extends and then specify the name of the parent class. In my case, it is animal. That means I can simply create such a class and then create a new object. For example, cat equals new cat, which also takes those same parameters in the constructor. That is, let's say it will have a field name cat, age let it be 7, and hairstyle, by default let it be true. If I now refer to the cat object in the console, we will see the following picture. Essentially, it is a very ordinary object, meaning we can refer to its age field, for example, 7. We can refer to its name field. However, Chrome shows me that the cat object already belongs to the cat class. Yes, and if we look at the prototype, first we will see the cat class, then we will see the animal class, and only then will we see the object. Which essentially does not prevent us from also using prototypal inheritance to call methods that are defined in the parent class. That is, we call the voice method, and we get the message I am animal, which is actually present in our animal class. In the cat class, we can also create static fields. For example, the field type equals cat, and we can access it in the same way. For instance, we can write cat type and get the expected result. But what do we do if we also want to pass additional parameters to the cat class, for example, the color of the animal? And we also want to pass it to the constructor. That is, let's say, here I will write color equals black, black cat. If we now refer to the cat field, we will not see its color field anywhere because we do not assign color to the keyword this anywhere. And let's say we want to assign the color only for cats. For this, we also implement a constructor. Here we accept some options, and if I write this color equals options.color and refresh the page, as you can see, we get an error here. This is because when we implement the constructor method in a child class that inherits from another class, we must first call the parent constructor. And for this, there is a special keyword called super, which is essentially a method. Yes, but if we leave everything as it is, then we also get an error because we need to pass a set of options to the super method. In other words, with this line, we are essentially calling this constructor, which, as you can see, takes an object called options, and therefore we must also pass options to the super method. If we leave everything as it is and refresh the page, our cat variable will now have all the old fields, but it will also have the color field that we have already assigned in this constructor. Interestingly, in the cat class, we can override some parent methods. That is, for example, in the animal class, we have implemented the voice method and we can override it. That is, essentially, we are implementing the voice method, and here we will output the message I am cat in the console. And if I refresh the page and call the voice method on the cat object, so as you can see, we first get the result imcat. Yes, because if a method is implemented in the child class, it overrides the parent method. This is how it works. But there are cases when we also sometimes need to call the parent method. And for this, we can use the keyword super. We don't call it as a method, we refer to it as an object and call the method we need, which in our case is the voice method. And now, if I refresh the page and repeat the code, first we get the message I am animal, which means this is the parent class, and only after that we get the message I am cat, which means this method is called. Classes also have getters and setters, and they are implemented using the keyword get and the word set respectively. Pose. We want to show the real age of the animal. Be honest, I don't exactly know how cat ages are multiplied, or how to determine them correctly, but I'll just assume that, let's say, these are human years, our usual rotations around the sun, and let's say here I will implement the getter age info. And as a result, I will return the value of this .age in the getter, let's say multiplied by 7. That is, I will assume that for cats we need to multiply by 7. Now, if I refresh the page and access the cat object, and now I access its ag.info field, this is not a method, but a field. because it is a getter. As a result, we get the value 49 here because 7 multiplied by 7 is 49. If we look at what a getter is in the console, we will see that Chrome displays it in the following way. That is, if we click, we will get some result. This is exactly how getters work. Similarly, we can create some setters. For instance, let's implement the setter ageInfo, which will take the parameter newAge. And here I will simply set this .age to newAge. That is, I will change a certain field in the object itself. And now, if I refer to the CAD object, access its ageInfo field, and, for example, let's say set it to 8. And if I refer to it specifically as a getter, I will get the value 56 here, because in the setter we changed the field this .age, and in the getter we refer to it. I will comment out all the code that I wrote. And let's go through a practical example to understand how classes actually work in practice using JavaScript. For this, I will create a new class called component. That is, I will create a certain component. It will have a method constructor which will take, for example, a parameter selector. Next, in this constructor, I will create a private field, this $L. Variables that contain some DOM node are usually named with a $. And as a result, I will put the result of the document query selector function into it, where I will pass the selector that we passed into the constructor. Now we have a private variable DSL and we can use it. And let's say in the parent class component, I will create two methods, hide and show, which will allow hiding and showing elements. How will I do this? I will refer to the DSL variable, then I will refer to its style field, because the style parameter is available for any DOM elements. And I will say that the display in the hide method will be set to none, and in the show method it will be set to block. In other words, I will just change everything from the style. Next, I will create another class which I will call, for example, box, that will inherit from our component. In the box class, I will also implement a constructor in which I will accept a certain set of options. For now, let me create some variable, for example, box1 equals new box. And let's think about what parameters I can pass into it. First of all, we will need a selector here. This is a string. Say it will have the ID box1. Then I want to set some specific values for the box. That is, let's say it will be the parameter size, for example 100, and color, for example red. Now we know that in the box constructor we accept a set of options that contain these parameters. But we know that in the parent class component, we only accept the selector in the constructor. That is, it should be some kind of string. Therefore, here I call the super method with the options parameter and its selector field. And after this, I can already use other fields, such as size and color specifically for the box. That is, suppose after I have already called the super method, I have the variable this.l available. And what can I do? I can refer to it. And for example, say that style.width will be approximately equal to the parameter style.height. And let's say it will be approximately equal to options.size. But this is an integer, so we need to add the string pixels to it in order to get pixels. And let's just simply do the same for the color. That is, this $L style color equals options.color. Now in HTML, we need to create this selector to avoid any errors. Therefore, in the HTML index, I will create the IV here. With ID box1. And let's see if all this will work. That is, I will refresh the page. And we won't see anything. Let's see why. Because we are setting the color parameter. But we need to set the background parameter to have a background color, as we are currently setting the color for the font. Refresh the page again and we get a square here. Now look, this is interesting. If I refer to the variable box1, I can call the methods that we implemented in the component. For example, the hide method. And as you can see, programmatically my square now disappears because I call this method, which refers to the component class and then executes its logic. However, in the box itself, I do not have this method. Suppose if I call the show method, we will get the square we need. Yes, if we want to create another object, for example, box2, which will have a size of 120 pixels and a color value of blue, I will also create it in the template. And as a result, we will get a blue square here. Because in box2 we passed the selector box1, but we need to pass the selector box2. If we refresh the page, we will get 2 squares here. And we can do the same with box2, that is, we can hide it using the hide method or show it using the show method, only if we write it correctly. Now, what can we do next? Next, we can create even more instances of these classes. That is, for example, I can create another class, which I will call, for instance, circle. That is the circle, and it will already inherit from the box class. Next, I also implement the constructor method, which will accept some options. And since we inherit from the box class, we need to pass the options object in the constructor. That is, we just pass the options here to super. But since we are now implementing the circle class, we need to make it a circle. Therefore, here we write this .l.style. The parameter is called border radius equals the string 50%. And now here's what's great. If I, for example, create a variable c from the circle class, where I pass certain parameters, then, for instance, our selector will be circle. And this will be our ID, meaning the hash symbol. Let's say its size will be, for example, 90 pixels. Its color will be green, and that's it. But considering that we are now creating the variable c from circle, we should ideally get not a square, but a circle, because we also add the border radius style in the constructor. Let's create this element in the template and see how it works. I'll refresh the page. Yes, and now we get a green square here. Sorry, a green circle. We got squares before. Now we get a circle here. Yes, because even though we passed exactly the same parameters as in the box class, now we are using the circle class. And due to this logic, we get a different geometric shape. And in fact, that's all there is to classes. As you can see, there's nothing complicated here. And essentially, classes are just a convenient syntax for creating objects. And we can very effectively move certain logic into some base classes, making it very convenient to use, set the necessary methods in the prototype at certain stages, and work with it smoothly. I hope you found this lesson useful. Now you finally understand how classes work in JavaScript. So if you found this lesson useful and interesting, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and leave comments with or without questions. I will try to answer all of them. See you soon!